What's up, everybody? This is Darren coming to you from McKeg Art. I've got a lot of questions about palleting paint with your brush, palleting your brush. What's the best way to do it? What works the best? I can't tell you what the best way is, but I can tell you what works the best for me. And so I'd like to share that with you guys. And just for some demonstration purposes, I'm going to be palleting a couple of different brushes right here on this. I use a clipboard and the amazing Uline catalogs. So like literally when a page is full, I just take it, rip it off, and go to the next page. So like I've got stacks of these catalogs. But anyway, we're going to use some wonderful, amazing Alpha Enamel McKeg's Black. And we're going to shake it up real good. And I just kind of put some down here on my catalog. And a lot of times I usually oil my brushes when I store them. So I'm just going to go over here in the mineral spirits and get rid of that oil so that we're fresh. Now, one of the really cool things about this Alpha Enamel is that like literally right out of the container, you don't need like hardly any mineral spirits to palette this paint. So it's kind of hard to see as I'm doing this, but as I'm pulling this brush like this, I'm also spinning it like this so that I can load up that brush all the way around. Now, for me personally, I do this until I start to get a little bit of drag. Not too much drag, but just a little bit of drag. Now, it depends on what you're doing, too. Like this brush I could use. This is a Tidwell made by Mac. It's called A Little Bit More. This one you could use for, filling in areas or even doing some lettering. So you could get away with having this brush loaded up a little bit wetter than normal. But let's say, for instance, you want to use, this is probably one of my favorite, the Slim. Let's say you want to pull some lines with this. So I didn't get all the mineral spirits out of it, so you can kind of see it's a little bit sloppier. So if that happens, you can feel it, but you just want to keep palleting it until that dries up a little bit. So this is obviously quite a bit wetter, but that's good because I want to be able to pull a really long line with this. Whereas if it's too dry, you're going to run out of paint and it's going to like come to a skid. It's come to a stop. You can kind of see how it breaks up a little bit right there. But anyway, again, as I'm pulling this through here, I'm twisting this brush back and forth to load up the hairs. And again, this doesn't learning this doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. It takes a lot of time to figure out what works best for you, the best way you like your brushes loaded up. Just practice, practice, practice. And you want to make sure if you're palleting your brush on the palette and you're not sure what it's going to be like when you go onto the surface of whatever, in this case a tank, make sure that it's way drier than if it's more dry than wet, because you don't want to drop into this tank ready to go and have a big drop of super thinned out paint hit the surface and run. You want, you'd rather have it dry. So here we're going to take This is a 000 dagger. I'm just going to get loaded up a little bit with some mineral spirits. Not much, just a little bit, so it's got some shape to it. Now, I'm flipping it back and forth like this as I pull it through this paint, but also I'm kind of just loading it up as I drag it through here. Now, a lot of times I see people, you know, like especially at Brushmasters, where they're just kind of dabbing the tip in it. Dude, load that brush up. Don't be afraid to drag it through there. And you're going to get a little bit of drag with that as it starts to dry up. And then you'll be able to, you know, you'll be able to pull your line out of there. And if it's too dry, then it's going to start to break up. You know, you can kind of see it breaking up a little bit right there. So you can either add more paint, or another beautiful thing about this alpha enamel is that I can use this palette area. I can use this little area of black paint here for quite a bit of work. It's going to last a really long time. So anyway, I know this probably doesn't answer all your questions about paletting, but it hopefully shares a little bit of insight about what works for me. Again, it may or may not work for you. I hope it does. But if it doesn't, try something different, and hopefully that'll work. But the cool part is you can keep experimenting with it. Thanks for following McKeg Art on Instagram, and please let me know what you think if you have any questions, and I appreciate you following my art. Have a good night.